All right, it's 3:30. Should we get started? You know, everybody's had a long day, so we don't want to keep you here any longer than you need to, than you want to anyways.
Well, welcome everybody. This is Curriculum Partners. Sorry, there we go. With remote learning support. I'm Teresa Lopatron. We have Angela Cote and Steph Wood today. And I'm just about to do the land acknowledgement. There we go. I wanted to get out today and take a picture of the beautiful snow, but I didn't get a chance. So we having pictures last week, and this is at Canada Park. We acknowledge the land on which we are connecting through as part of traditional territory of the Chippewa, Ottawa, Potawatomi, and Delaware nations. By personally making a land acknowledgement, you're taking part in an act of reconciliation, honoring the land and Indigenous heritage. Today, sorry,
go ahead.
Our Potawatomi. Why do I always get that one wrong? Our overview today, we're going to talk about split screen. That comes in handy, especially with Jamboard. Any questions, successes, and challenges you may have, and then talking about the report card session.
So we wanted to show you quickly split screen, just because I've showed this trick to a couple of people this week, and I thought maybe it might be helpful for some of you if you didn't already know how to do it. So it's a nice way that you can see your meet and a tab that you're sharing. You can see your Aspen attendance and your meet while you're doing your attendance. And obviously, Ange is going to show Jamboard a little bit later on, so you can watch your Jamboard and your meet at the same time. So I'm going to stop my share because I'm only sharing in a tab this way, and I'm going to show you how this works on a computer as well as on an iPad. So if I share my screen, and I'm going to share my whole screen. Okay, so I have several tabs up here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my Aspen tab out so that it will pop open for the full screen. You then go to the two boxes in the small corner, which will make it smaller. At this point, you need to grab anywhere in this gray box and drag it over to one side so that your mouse touches the edge of the screen, and you'll notice it'll snap open. On the newer Windows machines, it will then give you an option to look on the other half of your screen. You could choose your email, you could choose your Teams, you could have your Meet on this side. So then this would open to the other half of my screen. And when you're sharing in a tab in a Meet, say I was sharing my tab on this side, I could still have my Aspen open and none of the students would see my Aspen. And then to make this big again, say I wanted to see my Meet full size again, I just click the maximize box and it pops open the whole window. So this works the same way on Chromebooks as it does on a laptop. And then I'm also going to share from an iPad so that you can see how to do that on an iPad. So say I wanted to have my my browser window open, and then I could choose here and drag up. Maybe I wanted to show something in education. So I carefully drag this up. I click and hold on this, and then I drag it up to the side. Oh, sorry. Sometimes it works better than others. This will float it on top. Oops, sorry. Oh, I'm not having any luck today. Sorry. Usually it will snap open, but you can open two at the same time on the iPad. Always nice when things don't work when you're trying to demo them. I think it also depends on the apps that I'm using to share.
I do use it all the time during meets, and then I'll open my OneNote. So I'll take notes on one side of my iPad and then have the meets open on the other.
There we go. It helps if you use apps that work.
Yeah.
So you can do it on both the iPad, the Chromebook, and the laptop, and it does allow you to see two things at a time. So I will stop sharing here and go back to our slide deck. Are there any questions about the split screen?
Sorry, it took me a minute. Are you able to do that once more with the computer?
Yes,
I
100%.
can see it.
So,
I missed that piece.
okay, hold on. I'm going to stop sharing here and I'm going to share my whole screen again so you can see everything that I'm doing.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
No problem. Okay, so I have all my tabs here. Okay. I know that if I want 2 tabs from
Oh,
my browser, I'm going to drag one of them out. Okay, they have to be separated first. Then I make it a little bit smaller and I grab the gray part and I drag it over to one side. And then it will give me the option of choosing one of the others. So I can open another browser, I can open my Aspen, I can open email.
so does that just become all one screen now? Because I've been doing it overlaid, but it's like a pain.
Yeah, so this is all one screen. So it will only open as much as half the screen on one side and half the screen on the other.
Cool.
Yeah.
I know that this will be useful for some of the kids that have just got iPads. We're trying to do a Kahoot and this will be no end of helpful for them.
Oh,
If-
good. Yeah. It's really good if you can, even at kids on Chromebooks, because then they can have their Google Classroom up on one side and they can have their work up on the other. Or sometimes for our students that are using a translator, they'll have the translator up on one side and their work up on the other. So it's really good to teach all of the students how to use the split screen so that they can do 2 things at once, especially when they're going back and forth. So that's awesome. Thanks, Jeff, right? Yes.
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I was like Mr. Garshore, but
I'll see if I can change my name here.
that's okay. All right. So I'm going to go back to our slide deck.
So the reason Steph was showing this was, I mean, for the obvious reason, it can be used for a lot of different features as a teacher, but also for students. And so we're going to walk you through an app called Jamboard. And we thought it was important to understand how the split screen works because it's often nice for the students to be able to have the Jam open while still being in that Google Meet and maybe able to make that eye contact and see what's going on the main screen. So Jamboard is a Google application and you can always find it up in your little waffle of your on Google and just create a new Jam. And what it essentially is a whiteboard application. And we're going today to walk you through a demonstration of how to use Jamboard and its features, how to make copies for students. And then at the end, I have some templates that I've kind of acquired that I will share with you. So Steph, if you wouldn't mind stop sharing. And I am going to share my screen. And I'm going to try to walk you through a few things.
This is audience participation time too.
You bet it is. We promise to go easy on you. It's nothing too strenuous.
It'll be super fun.
So this is a Jam that we created just for today's session. It starts as a plain white page and all we did was we added some text and some images. And what we're going to ask you to do, I guess I better put the link in the chat for you, to click on this link. And that'll open up a Jam, open up this Jam. We're all working on the same one together. If you want, you can try and do your split screen now. If not, just toggle between the tabs, whatever you're most comfortable with. And then we're going to ask you to use the sticky note feature at the side, which is what, and here's my laser. So right over here is where you will, oh, why is the laser not working? I'm not sure if that's something to do with me present. Oh, no, it's because I'm off the Jam. Anyway, sticky note feature is over here. If you can click on there, grab an orange sticky note if chocolate's your favorite, or a, what did we say? It's hiding, or a blue one if chips are your favorite, and put your name on it. So just a quick, easy way for students to interact. And it just keeps the engagement level high, right? I mean, they could just answer, of course, but this is something that keeps them engaged and they have fun seeing each other doing it. Now, as you're doing this, I do want to just speak to the need to set norms with your students, what those expectations are for working with a jam. Because we are working in it's a collaborative document, any one of you has the ability to destroy the jam with a click of a mouse. Up here at clear frame, if I were to click that, that's going to clear everything. I could also, or anyone in it can edit other people's work. They can take the pen and you can see, like, I can scribble all over the page. So all these things that the students will want to try, you're going to have that conversation. And to be honest, probably the first time, let them have at her, let them see all the features and on a blank whiteboard so that they get familiar with it, and then get it out of their system and move on so that the learning can happen. So this is just one quick, easy way to using the sticky note feature to interact with your students. So I've seen it where teachers have posted a prompt of some sort and students respond with a short sentence answer, or it's a good for brainstorming tool, that sort of thing, with the sticky note features. So I'm going to move on to the next one. You're welcome to keep adding on there if you haven't had a chance to try it out. So we're now going to have you use the image tool, which is off to the side here. Sorry, I'm on the second frame. If you didn't notice, I switched from 1 to 2, so you can do the same on your side. Switch to the second frame. And using an image search, we are going to ask you to use Google Images, unless you have your own photo up there you want to add, but otherwise Google image search of how you're feeling today, and then insert it on here. Oh, not how you're feeling, I'm sorry. Showing your favorite activity. Eating Oreos. That's a great one. It's one of my favorite things to do. And you'll want to talk to students about, look at how much space we have. We need to leave room for everybody. So talking about, keeping our image sizes, small enough that everyone has a chance to share theirs. So things like this that you'll learn as you go, and you'll have to teach the students explicitly.
Yeah, wow.
Now you will notice I opened this jam up to the public because I didn't want anyone to have to worry about logging into their LKDSB. If students are logged into their LKDSB account, it'll indicate on the photo, I can see who posted it. If not, it depends on what you set as your settings. Otherwise, it's just an anonymous, like anonymous cheetah, for example. So you do have some control in that respect. So we got lots of people joining in with their image search.
I must second the voice for stressing digital citizenship for Jamboards. I've got one class that I must only turn the kids into viewers only because of one kid who is just being a donkey.
Yeah.
Every single obsessive level, every time.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. Yeah.
On
So
that
you know
note-
your students, right? Go ahead, Devin.
Oh, no, exactly. You got to know your students. And on that note, Jeff, I got a good thank you from a parent who was like, from the etiquette for raising hands. On the very first day, you should start with that by explaining what muting and unmuting and all that. And apparently, homeroom teacher hadn't covered that. And so as prep teachers, that's one thing that we might find is that you'll be taking on some minor responsibilities about etiquette and showing split screen, for instance. That might be something that you may have to tackle. And that's okay. Now that we got this tutorial. Thanks.
Absolutely.
I think if you add all of your children, like if you added your children all to your Jamboard, you can actually edit them individually. Like because I created this Jamboard, I can choose whether or not the people that I shared with, if you click on that share button, I can choose whether or not they're editors or viewers. So for that particular class, you could preload those students into that jam.
Mhm.
and then have that one child as view only.
Actually, yeah. So
Everyone
Andrew,
else could edit.
click
Great
the,
tip.
for demonstration. If you click the share button right now, I guess this is only through a link.
Yes,
You can
that's what I
see
did.
who's in there in the class or
Yeah.
inside, and
So then
that
right here.
where you can do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if you added them all there, and then you could just edit that one child so that they couldn't.
Yep.
Yep. And
Good
then
point.
everybody else can play.
It's just that that's a very time consuming thing when you're on the fly, of course. You got to think ahead.
Okay. Any questions about inserting an image?
I don't have a question about inserting an image, but how did you share it with all the class? Because I missed that at the very beginning.
So what I did with you, which is
Yeah.
as simple as you could do with the class, is I put the link in the chat. If you want to keep it as simple as that, that's all you have to do. And that way everyone clicks on the link and they can open it up. Alternatively, up here in the share, you can add each individual that you want to share it with. And that's where you can control their level of access, right? Whether they're an editor or a viewer.
You can also open a jam right from Google Meets. So if you click the three little dots, it'll give you the option to open a jam. In that case, all of the people that are in the meet are usually editors, and then they get the link in the chat.
Question in the chat. If the internet's slow, is it going to affect the capability of the Jamboard? Yeah, like anything else. That's what I was going to assume.
Okay, so those last two. We just had plain whiteboard background, and to be honest, that is the appeal of Jamboard, is that on the spot ability to do what you want to do with it. And quickly demonstrate or model something to students. If you have a little time and you want to put a little work into preparing something, there are some options. And I'm going to show you now about setting a background. So this was a PDF that Steph had inserted as a background. And if you go up here, there are some preloaded backgrounds, graph paper, line paper, just some color. Here's an image option. And this is where you can upload either through your Google Drive, image search, or a file from your computer. So Steph had this, she uploaded it. So right now you can try, nobody can move this background. This is now part of the background of the frame. So that's one way to, if there's things that you really want to keep still so that nobody's touching it, that's one way. So I'm going to invite you now to use either the image if you didn't have a chance to do that, or you can just insert a text box and just fill in an animal. These are animals that move. Animals can move. So write the name of an animal that can move on land, in water, or air. Ever a chance to type something in there with a text box feature down here. So we have a mix of images and words, depending on the student, what they're comfortable with, and maybe how they express themselves best. So as you can see, it's really interactive for students. They're able to, even when they're done their work, there's lots for them to continue to watch and see as other students finish adding their piece. So there isn't that same disengagement, right? When they're just waiting. This is something to continue to watch and do. Okay, so you can continue. It stays there for you. I'm going to keep moving, but you're welcome to keep adding on there if you didn't have a chance. So what I'm going to show you now is how to actually insert that background using, well, I'll start with a really simple one. We'll do a Google image search. And just like any Google search, type in what you're looking for and find the image. I'm going to go with this one, and I'm going to make it my background. So the difference between making it a background and your image on the tool on the left is this is no longer, you cannot move it. It is part of the frame. If I were to do it from here, it's just an image that can be moved around. So from here, you could invite students to label the parts of a plant, for example. You actually, before I even did that, what I could do if I wanted multiple students to, if I wanted them to work in groups, this is one jam, which is maybe a bit much for the whole class to work on with those same frame. If I click here, I'm going to show you again where I did that. Down here to view this frame bar, I can duplicate as many times as I want. So let's say I'm going to break my group into 3 classes. Sorry, my class into 3 groups. I can tell them, okay, I could write their name right on there, or I could tell them, okay, you're on this one, you're on this one, you're on this one. And then they can work in groups at labeling the image. This is one example, right? Labeling an image. So you have a lot of flexibility, whether it's whole group work or smaller groups that work collaboratively on one frame. And I see someone else is helping me out here. This is great. And then a lot of people have PDFs they want to use. So images is one option, but that's not all. It doesn't always suit your need, what you're looking for. We often have graphic organizers or PDFs of some sort that we would like students to interact with. So I'm going to show you how you might do that, because when you're setting a background, your only option is to insert an image. So if you have a PDF, it's not going to show up as an option to insert it. So what I would do in this case, I'm going to pop over to a PDF I have, and using my snipping tool, I'm not able to, hold on, it's popping up over here. The toolbar is covering part of it, but you can kind of get the idea what I'm doing here. So I'm going to say, okay, I want that as my background. Sorry, I got to move this. And I'm going to save it to my computer. I'm just going to call it the letter A. What's going on here? There we go. So I'm saving it to my desktop so that when I go back to my jam, I can insert an image and to upload it from my computer. And I just saved it quickly to my desktop. And now you have your PDF as your background. So that was exactly what Steph did with that table with the, how do you move the animal movements, or was it that one there? It was a PDF. She made it into an image and inserted it. And I just did the same thing with my PDF. And it's great for like, especially for graphic organizers, mind mapping, that sort of thing. Maybe you have other ideas too, but those were the ones that popped to our mind right away.
For classroom teachers, also for like one of them showed us a plotting activity where the plot was already on the jam ready to go, so they could work right there. Okay. Just to know, Valerie shared that on Mac, it's Shift, Command, and 5 to do the snip on the screen. And for PCs, it's Windows Shift S to do a snip on the screen. And
now I can never remember those, so you can always do it my way and just type in.
Mm-hmm. You totally can. Yeah. But I often snip them because then I can just
well, you get exactly what you want.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just the piece of the thing that I want.
Sure, for sure. All right. So that's just a quick run over how you might how to use Jamboard. And like I said, you can share it with your students from the link up here. And the other option is, if you don't actually want it as a collaborative document and you want each student to have their own copy of this, you would right here at the end, get rid of this view part. Can you see my cursor? Yeah. Get rid of that part and type in copy before you send it to them, and that'll forces them to make a copy, and then each student has their own, and it's no longer interactive. Okay. So I mean, I think the big feature with Jamboard is that it is interactive, but there may be times where you don't really want that to be the case. Go ahead.
If you're going to have them force a copy, they will need to be logged in to their lkdsb.com email address so that it goes to their Google Drive.
Because it has to save somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Questions about Jamboard before, I think that was it for the demo. There's shapes, and we didn't really try any of these, but you can insert shapes here. There's your pens for just simple writing tools. Just so you can see how it works, you can write on there. You have a pointer, laser pointer. Any questions?
If you want to draw straight lines on a Jamboard with a pen, hold the shift key down. It'll make a straight line for you.
There you go.
With the pen?
Yeah,
Yes.
make it.
I've been doing it all. I've been doing it this whole time here. I'll do a blue line.
I just hold the
That's
shift
without
as I
it.
do it.
And then
Oh yeah, look at that.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks, Jeff.
Great.
you're welcome. I just learned that like a couple of weeks ago. So
Great. See, this is why we have our virtual teachers here. They're the pros. We do appreciate you coming out. So what I do want to share with you is, so again, it's as simple as it's a whiteboard. It doesn't need to be more complex than that. I have, however, seen a lot of things that people are doing on Twitter using Jamboards and creating really, really magnificent things. So what I'm going to do is just quickly come back in. I have created this little folder that I will put the link in for you guys. And there's a few there to get you started. Obviously, lots and lots of English content, but there's so many cool things you can do. But it can also be as simple as a 4 corners map that you can manipulate, and you just keep changing, right? For depending on your activity of the day. Here's an alphabet chart. There's check-ins. It's used a lot for check-ins. I've seen that one. And what is this one is really neat. It's a literacy one. But again, I think once you start looking at them, you might be like, okay, well, I don't teach primary. I don't need to worry about those. I'm not doing letters. You might find an idea that you can tweak it and edit it to make it more applicable to your situation. I'm also, as I'm using them and creating them, I'm throwing some French ones in there. For the core French teachers joining us today, one feature I do want to show you. I just learned this one and I was like, oh, I haven't tried it out yet. I'm going to actually do a class tomorrow to try it. So I'll let you know how it goes. But it's called the Scratch and Reveal. So we're working on rhymes with this class. So with phonological awareness, so I have the word boule and the students have to be able to identify the rhyme. So I gave them an image clue. But what is neat is if we now take an eraser, and magically the word appears.
very clever.
So I'm excited. I hope they're as excited as I am to try it. And to do that, it was so easy. It's just the highlighter tool. Again, the stuff you'll learn on Twitter, right? Highlighter tool to cover it. And nothing's going to go on top of that. So even if I'm writing whatever, it doesn't matter. That's going to stay there. The white stays at the top. And then the students will come with the eraser to reveal it. And there's some other ones in there with that built with that same concept. Much more beautiful than maybe this one is. But I'm just trying to show you that it can be as simple as that. It doesn't have to be complex. I think that's it for Jamboard. Are there any questions? Anything I forgot to show?
I just wanted to say that it's it may or may not be installed on iPads. It does need the app to run in on an iPad. It does not need the app to run on a Chromebook or a laptop. I believe it is coming to the app catalog, but it's not there yet. So stay tuned.
Okay. What can I do? That's it for Jamboard, unless there's questions about it specifically. Otherwise, we're just going to get to the open forum.
Oh, how do you put the GIFs in, Ange?
Oh, wow.
Can you show them how to put the GIFs in?
You're going to put me on the spot now, eh?
I don't mind sharing either, but I think the GIFs are fun. And
I think I can figure it out. Yeah. So this was a new tool for me too. So can you see my whole screen?
Yep.
Okay, so up here in the toolbar, I added a Chrome extension called Giphy. And that's where like we have the chips, the chocolate, whatever it is. Oh, and there we got some Bernie Sanders. You can do a search for whatever you want. Bonjour. Let's see what comes up. And there's some, you just drag and drop. Simple as that. Just adds a little pizzazz to your presentation. Kids always like
just
those.
put the link in the chat just so it's accessible to everyone. That's awesome. Thanks a lot, Angela.
Yeah.
Thanks, Devin.
So I will
The pre-made Jamboards.
yeah, I'm going to drop that link.
She's going to put it in the chat.
I will put the and you'll be forced to make a copy of the folder. So then it's yours and you do what you want with it. Like I said, it's just meant to be inspiration. It's not that you have to take it all and use it exactly as is. You might tweak them and make them your own. It's just to kind of give you some ideas of what the abilities of Jamboard are. But truly, it can be as simple as a whiteboard that students interact on. Simple as that, just like you would in a classroom with a whiteboard. It doesn't have to be complex for it to be engaging for your students. So I will let Steph and Teresa, if you guys want to go back to the slideshow, I will find that link and put it in the chat.
Sure. So I think we're at the point where we have any questions or successes or challenges. Anybody this week or leading up to this week or anything to share? No? So report card sessions are coming up. We had the first one January 21st, this Thursday the 28th, and the last one will be the 4th.
And those are all recorded and available from the blog. And all of the mini videos for report card questions are also available on the blog. So you can find all of those. And the session on Thursday will be recorded, so you can go back and watch that.
I have a funny story if anybody's in the mood. I got a funny video of submissions from students for dancing. So definitely encourage the dancing. I use Bo Noodle in my gym classes here and there. And there was a worm dance move, and one of the kids did the worm. And so a lot of the kids were inspired by that. And so I guess incidentally, by students going, "Whoa, that's cool. How do you do that?" I went, "Oh, you kind of start on your front of your chest and you roll back and you flick." Didn't want to get into the details, but lo and behold, a bunch of submissions of their dance videos of that day were them trying to do the worm. And you can just imagine what kind of success they had. But for one, they just looked kind of like a rocking boat on their chest, just went up, down, up. And they got their little brother who was 3 or 4 years old. So I have two of them doing it side by side, doing these like rocking the boat. And the parents like, "Great worm, good worm, guys, good worm." It's just the joys.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
When you get those submissions, it keeps you uplifted.
No doubt.
For sure.
You know it works.
I'm just trying to duplicate the French Jamboard here. I forget what you told us how to do, or how do you duplicate it? I'm having an issue with that.
Like make a copy?
Yeah, like it gives me the option to move it, or I'm not sure how to copy it so I can save it for myself.
Let me just, well, that is yours now that you've opened it.
Oh, okay.
Because I forced you to Maybe not. I might be lying.
If I move it, will it disappear? That's what I'm wondering.
I thought I
When I
forced a
clicked on
copy.
it didn't force me to make a copy. It just opened.
Really? Okay. Well then, in the interest of everyone else, let's assume that that is not the case. And you're going to make a copy of anything on there, you're just going to right click, and then you have an option that pops up to make a copy, and then you can drag it into your own folder.
If you go to Google Jamboard, the website, it's kind of like its own Google Drive. And it has, I clicked the link, that's all I've done. And it's accessible to me as a recent jam. So if you go to jamboard.google.com,
okay,
it'll take you, and that's where you would find it ourselves. Like if you want to, all my jams, but that's also the submissions of a lot of stuff. So I'm not sure, I'm not familiar with using Jamboard myself like this. I tend to make my Jamboards and have them in Google Drive.
Yeah, and that's where these are stored. So I'm not sure, because I thought I was forcing you to make a copy of the folder. But if that was not the case, then I'll just ask that everyone make a copy of each individual jam that you want to keep for yourself, so that everyone still keeps access to that folder. Does that make sense?
Yes, all the things in the folder do say copy of before it. So
yeah, that's because I had copied them off of Twitter originally.
Oh, okay.
Is there, in the 3 dots beside it under the jam, can you press those? That you should be able to make a copy from there as well.
I can show you how to quickly make a copy.
Yeah, that's it. Is the 3 dots have to make a copy, but yeah, copy is another method.
So for example, if I right click, I have this make a copy option. And that way then the original stays there and you can take that one, move it to your own folder. Does that make sense,
Good to note if
Allison?
you're, if you're sharing with people, you'd probably want to not allow that to change. So you'd always want to force a copy.
Okay, so yeah, if you notice the link that was provided to us in the jam was viewer / viewer. So had we done the steps of changing that shared link to change the word viewer to copy, then it would have made and forced us to make a copy, if that makes any sense. So
yours says viewer, because mine does say copy. I changed it to copy, and when I look in there, it does say copy.
Oops.
So what are you seeing? No, I'm just trying to figure out, is it an error?
It must have been an old one.
So I'm kind of confused because I definitely wrote copy there at the end. And I practiced this afternoon to make sure it was going to work. So much for that.
Here, I'm just posting the one that I just posted. If you click it, it is the same Jamboard we had. And the link is /copy.
Yeah, to that specific Jamboard.
Up to the top of the chat, the link that I clicked had /viewer.
Okay, yes, sorry, we're talking 2 different things. You're talking the Jamboard, I was talking that whole folder.
Sorry.
That's why. I was like, what are you talking about?
No, sorry, Angela.
No, it's all good. We're just talking 2 different things.
Sharing the folder.
Yeah.
Go back to that.
All good. Okay, so this is the time where you are welcome to share a success or a challenge you had, or ideas you want to share with each other, or if you are done and you got what you needed from today's meeting, we thank you for coming, and we will see you again next week. And we're always open to suggestions. If there's something you'd like us to take a look at together, please let us know.
Thanks, Valerie.
I hope everyone was duly entertained by my little teaching lesson right before the meeting started. Actually, I had a thought on that note.
I missed that.
That's okay.
It was super amusant.
Yeah.
Imagine, plein qui connaissent.
Hey, God, c'est pas si pire que ça. But the idea of having a chance to just be a fly on the wall and listen to a peer teaching a lesson at some point, just to share ideas back and forth. That I just a thought, you know, like I know that, I mean, I feel like I'm scrambling, trying to improvise my way into an existence for 7 and 8 core here. And I know that anytime I see other people doing something successful, I'm a Celtic shepherd and I steal the idea right away. So, you know.
That's a great idea. So
Just
definitely, I would like, this is an opportunity we have to maybe do that, right? Because it's hard in like school to have those opportunities. But I mean, if you were to talk to your administrator and there was someone you wanted to, you know, work that out with, that would be one way, with their permission, of course. That, I think that's a great idea. Great way to build capacity amongst ourselves.
I know in a lot of places they actually do that, where peers will watch each other teach and talk about what they did and what went well and what didn't, and it's such a growth opportunity. So yeah, I love going into people's rooms. I love people coming in and watching me do stuff. Like, it's that way you can figure out how it sounds when you're right, because while you're in the moment it might seem, like you said, right, like you're just like all over the place, but it usually looks really cool when people are actually doing it.
The FTKs are rocking that when the two of them, right? So I've been in a lot, I'm lucky I get to go in a lot of classes, and every time I'm in an FDK class, I'm always amazed. I'm like, wow, they just work so well together, and it's definite teamwork.
I supplied for Trevor Hay, which was one of my prep classes when I was the prep teacher at VLE for the 5 to 7s for a week, and he was out and he was like, yeah, Corey Anderson and eBear will get you all your lesson plans. They'll take care of you. Just ask them. They got you covered, and they shared stuff with me. And because I knew the kids, it was really easy to like jump back in. But it was so cool, like the way collaborated. Or if they, Corey was like, "Oh, my class is a little bit behind on this, but this is what we're doing." Or if he forgot to send me the link, I still had access to his Google Classroom, so I just like logged in and stole it and then posted it for Trevor's kids. And it was like so cool to like not be stressed as a supply teacher going, oh my God, I don't have anything. I'm like, oh, I'll just go into the class and grab it, because they're all doing, like, they all plan everything together and they do the same thing, slightly different times, because me being their French teacher when I was screwed up some of their timings, but it was so cool how like collaborative it was.
Definitely what we're seeing in the virtual world, for sure. It's really neat.
Well, and you don't often have like a school, unless you're at one of the really, really big schools, you don't have a grade partner that has the same grade as you, right? In many schools. So having other people to talk about what you're teaching and how you're teaching it and plan together is amazing.
On that note, how important these little sessions are to debrief. I honestly, being this basement, missing Katrina just brought back nostalgia from September. Great to see you, Katrina.
I know it's not the same.
We worked together, us two, in the same room at VLES. How important it was, the collaboration for me. So thanks, Katrina. So take advantage of these sessions and absorb what you can while you can.
And ask us things, like if there's a tool you want to see or something you want to know more about, or you want us to do something over again, just stop us and tell us and we'll do it again. Or if there's something you want to see, shoot us an email. We can plan it for next week or the next session. Or if you're like, I don't remember how you did that, I'll hop on a meet with you, like no problem.
Yeah, well, even when Devin and I were at VLE together, he was kindergarten grade 1 FI and I was core French, and I was like, hey, I did this with my kids, do you want it? And he's like, yeah. Or like he used to pull out his guitar and I'd go, all right, we're not doing anything now because the guitar's too loud. Here you go, guys, let's join in because we're learning that too. It was so cool collaborating, even though we're different grades, but because he was immersion and I was core, we were actually like close to the same level. So we got to collaborate in a really cool way that normally you wouldn't think to go, yeah, I'm the core teacher, let's go talk to the FI teacher. But because we were in the same room together, it just happened. And so it was really cool that way.
And so awesome for our curriculum partners who so often do teach in isolation. Now you do have like that opportunity that if you have a friend, a colleague friend that you're like, hey, want to put our classes together today to do something, like now's an opportunity to do that quite easily, right? That doesn't happen in the regular school. So thanks for bringing that up, Devin and Katrina. Those are some great ideas.
I'll have to toss you my link, Katrina, and we'll join each other's classrooms in guitar still.
Sounds good.
That's the idea Jeff gave us. Thanks.
Before Christmas, a couple of my classes, we played Pictionary with the Jamboard, which is super cool because they could still guess and see what's going on while everybody was drawing. And then we just opened a new page. So they thought that was so cool that we could still play games like that and be virtual. I mean, ours wasn't super French because it was like the last day before Christmas and it was games. So we did Christmas related topics and mostly in English. But they thought it was so cool. We did Pictionary. So you could even do that with like your French vocab, have them draw it with bunch grids, and they loved it. We put a timer on and they just thought it was like, even though they're like grade 7, they thought it was so cool.
That's awesome. I played over the Christmas holiday too, and I had fun. And I'm old, so any age could like it.
Okay, well, thank you everybody for coming. We will hopefully see you back here again next week at 3:30 next Tuesday. Have a good week, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Salut. Bonne journée,
Thanks for
tout le monde.
coming.
Bonne journée.
Au revoir.
Au revoir.